Hi guys, welcome back to another video. Now, many of y'all obviously have questions about the dependent visa, especially for people who are coming as students in the UK. Now, many of y'all have also said it's untrue, none of this is real, this may not affect us, but in today's video, I will be sharing all of this news and more updates about this. So please see this video all the way to the end, especially if you think it's going to affect you if you are planning to come to the UK as an international student. But for those of you who haven't already followed me on Instagram, my handle is physiotherapy in UK, and do follow me over there because I issue daily and weekly updates on life in the UK, but also what it is like to practice as a healthcare professional, and it might be helpful to you. So in today's video, we are going to debunk everything about, is the UK really going to stop students from getting their spouses and their children as dependents in the UK? Now, obviously, just a few hours ago, I have gone through this news and I've seen it online, and I thought that this would be a good platform for me to share this with you. Obviously, some of this is not sort of told very clearly on the Home Office or on the Government of UK website, but I think that obviously whenever there's a change like this, it's never sudden. There are partial bits and bobs about these news that usually come through various media channels, and then they obviously go on to maybe say something more definitively in the form of a rule or a legislation. So this is me over here just trying to share the latest updates with you of what we are seeing on the UK news channels so that you are aware about it and make your decisions wisely. So if any of y'all have watched this video previously, you would know that obviously Swella government was planning to sort of reduce the number of international students and their dependents coming into the UK. But obviously many UK universities and many people in the UK felt that this was a very sort of unsuccessful move and it would not have good repercussions, because let's be honest, international students do bring with them a lot of wealth, which will be helping to boost the UK's economy, especially now that it's in the middle of a recession. So that being said, these were the sort of diverse opinions that were present at that time. But currently, the UK government is not ready to back down on its immigration rules. And the UK government is actually looking to reduce the number of dependents who come on student visa in the UK. So it is not a news to many of y'all that obviously UK has hit a real sort of peak number of migrants, not only on the student visa but also on the dependent visa. Now, if you've watched my videos previously or you've watched any sort of news related to the UK immigration in the last year, you would know that UK hit its immigration record, which it had set for itself in the year 2030. So it hits its immigration targets for 2030 in the year 2022-2023. So this is a massive milestone for the UK government, and this was something that it took into consideration before starting to think about changes in rules and legislations for immigrants in the UK. So what potentially happened at that point of time is obviously there was an influx of students coming in, and along with them many people brought with their family members, their children, their spouses, and this sort of created a very sort of negative impact on the UK economy by general, because obviously it created major problems for the UK's economy just in terms of finding accommodation but also sort of supplementing the healthcare cost within the UK. Now, if any of y'all have come to the UK in the last sort of 1 year or 6 months, you will know that it's been progressively hard for us to find accommodation. Like even for me, for example, I had to move cities, but it was really hard for me to find a decent enough accommodation within my sort of budget. This has been one of the ongoing problems, especially since this sort of numbers of immigration has increased over the last year. But other than this, if you have a family, you would notice that it is being progressively hard for you to find a school within your catchment area, because that's exactly what happens in the UK. If you have a child, they are entitled to get education within a certain sector or within a certain region. But obviously that is really hard right now because a lot of people are tending to migrate to specific pockets in the UK, and so it's harder for them to sort of provide education within those pockets, and so it might be hard for some parents to find schools for their children in the UK. Obviously, just considering the fact that UK might actually introduce this rule, which personally I feel is really going to be something that affects many individuals, because obviously when you come as a student in the UK, you leave your country, you leave your family behind in the hope of obviously studying in the university, but you are not really doing it for free, are you? You're going to actually spend loads of money to actually come here and study in one of the UK universities. Now if you ask that particular student to leave their husband or wife and children back in their home country and come, it's going to be even more harder for them, because obviously they find it emotionally difficult but also financially hard, because they would then have to support their family back home as well. So if the UK Home Office or if the UK government actually decides to proceed with this, it's going to be even harder for international students to sort of settle down in the UK. Now, I personally know of some cases within the UK over the last 2 years where students have sort of come from their home country, studied in the UK, but have found it really hard to cope in the UK generally, and have decided to go back. And obviously this is something that they have to keep in mind, especially if they are considering to use the international students to sort of run the labor markets, or even in terms of help the UK's economy to grow over a period of time. So if you see this update right here, it actually says that the United Kingdom may be planning to ban the foreign students from bringing their families. And as you can see, this is not made up. It's actually found on the Economic Times, which is obviously one of the leading newspapers in the UK right now. So if you actually go to read this further, it actually says that the UK is planning to restrict international students from bringing immediate family members such as their spouses and children unless they study in high quality degrees. Now obviously they further gone on to say that only international students who are studying science, mathematics and engineering will be able to bring their dependents in the UK. Now you need to remember that obviously students, if they are studying these fields or the other fields, they are still paying thousands of pounds to be able to come and study and work in the UK while they are studying. So be mindful about that, especially when you're considering this. Obviously, the other sort of bits that are highlighted in this document are that the foreign students would be banned from bringing families unless they are studying at higher level, which is a PhD and the master programs. So if you are coming to study at an undergraduate level, whether it's a BSc or any other sort of degree, you will not be allowed to possibly get your dependents in the next few years in the UK. Now, if you go to see further ahead, the document actually goes on to say that Britain has registered a near 8-fold rise in the number of family members joining foreign students. So as per the recent immigration, nearly 5 lakh students were given visas over the last year. And out of these, they were accompanied by nearly 1,35,700 dependents. So if you can see, these numbers are almost double and slightly more than double in fact. So the number of dependents accompanying the students was double that number, as you can see from this. Now of these, this is a very important point, especially for all of those who are watching this from India, that India became the largest source of students with nearly 1,61,000 students coming, along with 33,200 dependents in the UK. So I think based on the results from last year and whatever they sort of identified and collected data, they identified that obviously Nigerian and Indian students were the ones who were sort of getting maximum number of dependents along with them while coming to study in the UK. And as you can see from the data right here, it just seems like there were a lot of Indian dependents, and Indians were the largest people who bring dependents along with them in the UK. Now, this is quite easy to understand, right? Because obviously many Nigerian and Indian families believe so strongly in the sort of constitution of the family, and they want to obviously get them along with themselves when they come to the UK. And that is all fair, but obviously according to the UK government, this is a bad thing because it's putting a stress on the UK's economy to support these dependents. The only ray of hope is, according to this again, that the report said that the government is yet to take a decision on this matter. However, Suella Braverman, the Home Secretary, has drawn up proposals to reduce the number, which includes shortening the duration of which foreign students can stay in the UK post their course. So obviously over here they are talking about the PSW, because Suella Braverman is going to try and restrict the number of months that are available to students following their course for them to find a job. However, according to the Department of Education, the restriction will bankrupt UK universities which depend on foreign students for their money, which is exactly what everyone has been saying, because the UK's economy sort of needs this money to boost itself, especially right now during the recession. Funnily enough, it actually goes on to say that the estimates actually say that international students bring 35 billion pounds into the UK every year. This is like massive tons of money right there getting pumped into the UK's economy. So now, while we've just read all of this, I would just like to say that obviously the UK's economy is going to be widely affected by it, and they are sort of trying to reduce the number of family members that can accompany students in the UK. But what do you think about it? Do you think this is going to be a right decision or a bad decision for the UK government and for the universities in the UK? And is this going to sort of stop you as an international student from planning to apply in the UK in the next intake? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Take care, guys. Bye.